Hello and welcome back to another episode of Swords and Sapphics. I'm Rachel.
I'm Ivy.
This is the podcast all about queer women, representation in popular culture, and may include sharp objects. Let's start by talking about what we're watching, consuming, reading this week. I started reading The Witchery yesterday by S. Isabel. It's a young adult fantasy book and it has witches and wolves, queer rep, Black main characters, and it's just beautiful. I'm really loving it so far. What are you reading?
Nothing. I finished my thesis recently, and since then I just cannot open any book. I've been reading a few comic books, and then right now I'm in the middle of one, and it's disappointing me so far.
Oh no, what is it?
It's Wonder Woman. It's called The Lost Paradise, and it's just so chaotic, and it's just too much at once.
Oh no.
Since the beginning, and it's just not my jam so far, which is disappointing because until now Wonder Woman was, every comic book I read was just 5 stars.
There's always one that throws a spanner in the works.
Yep. Unfortunately. But I hope it's gonna get better. I just don't want to read now.
No, I understand. We've been as always, we've been playing too much Fortnite and not leaving enough time for reading, but we're doing our best out here.
Precisely.
What was the last thing you watched? Mine was Santa Clarita Diet. I watched that last night.
Well, I was watching Killing Eve for this episode, spoiler alert. And otherwise I'm rewatching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my childhood.
Beautiful. And we're going to do an episode on Willow and Tara. We have to.
Absolutely. We must.
I think that was like the first time that we ever got a lesbian relationship on screen. Well, of course, not the first time, but probably the first time for a lot of people of our age.
For me, it was definitely. I was watching it when I was like 12 or maybe less, which I'm not sure how I got through it without like being terrified every night, which I am now, by the way.
Yeah. I think I was watching it at like 5, which shouldn't have been allowed, but I remember nothing.
Well, I remember a lot of things, and I feel like I'm now scared more than I was back then, because I cannot watch it before. I have to put like there some sitcom or YouTube videos or something. What was the last movie we watched?
Oh, what was the last movie that I watched? Did we watch one recently together?
I'm trying to think of. We watched the last thing together we watched was First Kill, but Sorry for Your Loss.
I think possibly it was Fall In one.
Yeah,
What's
it
called?
I know, yeah. Fall In
Love at the Inn. Yeah, something. It's
with
a Netflix. Yeah. It's a Netflix rom-com with Adam Damos and Christina Milian, I think. It's either Falling in Love or Love at the Inn. She goes to Australia after winning a inn giveaway, as one does. And that was the last one I watched. I'm a sucker for cheesy rom-com, even though I wish there was more sapphics involved in them, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
I believe. We're now the secondary characters, which is a big step up from nothing at all.
Yes. Just one step at a time.
Yeah, maybe one day. How about you?
Oh, of course. Wanda. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Naturally. That was the last movie I watched. And the movies.
Yeah.
And it's out now on Disney Plus. And I have to force everyone to go and watch it for Wanda.
Yeah. And I have a feeling I will be part of this forcing business.
Yeah. We have a bunch of Marvel things to watch still, because you're quite behind.
Yeah. I'm very behind. The last thing I watched was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I believe.
Yep.
Because I will do anything for Bucky. However, I'm still psyching myself up for Loki. I've not heard good things about it. And
it wasn't good.
No, I'm considering skipping it.
No, you can't.
I want I want to.
I know you do. And however, even I love everything that I watch, I did not enjoy it much. However, it's incredible.
Exactly.
It's important.
Ugh.
The last episode was amazing, and that's it. But I'm
Okay.
excited. We can hate watch it. It's okay.
We can hate watch it. Maybe we
Yeah.
can do an episode here. Is that something that people would like to listen to? Me hate watching Loki.
We hate
It was
watch a lot of things.
directed by a woman, wasn't it? So we can praise the women behind.
I
it.
think so. There were a few scenes of Loki in certain positions that are done by women.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. Stay tuned for that then, I guess. When I get round to it, if I ever do. I keep saying I will and then don't.
Don't worry, I'm here to force you. That's
Yeah.
what I hear. That's what I'm doing.
How about the last song you listened to? Let me check mine.
I was listening something yesterday.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh, How Villains Are Made by Madeline something, I think. It's great.
My last one was Dua Lipa, Be the One. I'm currently listening to my summer playlist, especially when I get ready in the morning because it's sunny outside. So that's where I'm at. However, I'm really stuck on Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill, as is most of the world because it featured in a Stranger Things episode.
Yeah.
And I really need to listen to the rest. I do feel like it's a sapphic soundtrack, whether that's what she intended or not. There's just something witchy and magical and sapphic about it. So I need to continue to delve into that.
Okay, so let's get into the episode of today.
Let's do it.
Today we're gonna talk about Killing Eve, episode 1 and 2. And from my side, it's just gonna be obsessing about Villanelle.
Yeah.
I think
And
it's very
you?
understandable.
Yeah. How can you not?
Precisely.
I think one of the best things about Villanelle is that she's never sexualized as a female assassin. Unlike most leading ladies in, like thrillers, then she's not sexualized, she's not dumbed down. She's an intelligent woman. She doesn't need to use her body to kill people or to get into things. Like all of her outfits are very like modest and conservative, but she still radiates that like sexuality, and it's just beautiful. That's my favorite thing about the show, I think.
I was actually researching some fun facts, and one of them was exactly this, that they actually there was 100 people, around more than 100 people, women they considered for this role, and they exactly didn't want someone to be like the classic like Natasha Black Widow type of spies and killers, but they wanted her to blend in the crowd.
Yeah, and I love that because they could have gone the easy way, as everyone else has done before. Like they could have made her a Natasha Romanoff style character, Black Widow, because she's Russian as well. So in a way they are very similar, but they didn't. And I love that so much. Like you can just tell that there was a conscious choice not to do it the way it's been done before. And I think that's always what makes a good show.
Yes.
What's your favorite Villanelle outfit?
Oh my God. Now, I have to say, I do love that it's, I think, season 3. Now, spoiler alert, there's going to be a lot of spoilers even more ahead, where she's doing the accents and she has the green suit and the white tank top. I love it so much. That's one. Then naturally the purple dress, the pink dress, and episode 2 of season 1.
Yeah.
And also when she's in Amsterdam, actually the green long, it's sort of like a long jacket when she goes get high in the club, and I just love that one.
Yeah.
Yours?
I think mine is when she visits Nico and she's wearing that Oxford-like suit. That's just really hot and very sapphic. I was thinking actually, her sexuality is never specified, but we never see her desiring a man.
But yeah,
whenever you see her like paying attention to somebody, like you see her glancing at women on the street an awful lot.
Yeah.
And I just find that quite magical.
Yes.
There's rarely a time when she's drawn to a man without killing him. And I personally think that's what we all should be.
Yeah, she is a role model.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely great. Another fun fact I learned was that before Killing Eve even came out, the first episode, like 3 days before, it was already renewed for a second season.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is incredibly badass of them.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
No.
I wonder what it was.
I read something, the person in charge of renewing said something about like, you know when you see something good, or in that sort of sense.
Yeah.
So I guess it was just that compelling, which I'm very happy for. How did you even learn about Killing Eve?
Everyone was talking about it. I think, yeah, everyone was talking about it. And there's a show in the UK called Gogglebox, which is a reality TV show where it's just a TV show of people watching TV. So normal people sitting on the couches and watching TV. And Villanelle was on, and I was like, this is gay. This is wonderful. I need to watch it immediately. And I did. Yeah.
Beautiful.
How about you?
Well, it was before season 3 came out, because I remember seeing the trailer without knowing anything about it. Yeah. And a lot of people on my like Bookstagram account were very like freaking out about it. And I was like, okay. And then I learned you watched it and you loved it. And that was like the final push for me to go and watch it. And I remember watching season 3 with you then. That's when we started watching it. Yeah, we watched it together. Yeah.
Because did it air in Czech? Was it on TV in Czech?
No. I don't think it even is still. I know we have it on. It actually might be because it's on HBO now. I don't know. It's not people don't know it here for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even like I keep pushing it forward to other people, and I always have to like they never heard of it. No one.
That's interesting. I can't imagine a world where someone hasn't heard of Killing Eve.
I know.
Because
now making people watch
here
it.
Talks about it. Yeah,
beautiful.
You need to
keep
pushing the agenda.
Yes.
However, tell them not to watch season 4.
Just the last episode until like the 5 minute before that.
Yeah. Give them an edited version.
Yeah. I have to say though, I think the reason why it's so good, I think, is because it's not fully American.
And it's very British.
Yes.
Yeah. And European.
And
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not American at all. Sandra Oh's Canadian.
Oh yeah.
Most of it is shot in the UK, and what's not is usually Europe.
Yeah. It was made for BBC America though.
Yeah.
Which is
they always manage to take everything away from us.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, luckily we have the BBC here, so I think we get it like the day after America does, or got, because sadly it's done now. But
it was only around the 4th season, because I know for the 3rd season it came out same for both of us.
Yeah,
and I was this year with the 4th season. I was getting it like a week early actually.
Yeah, we were really behind, and that just baffled me because it was so big here when it started, and it was coming out immediately, and then I ended up behind, and I saw the spoilers for the last episode. I'm not bitter.
That's
though.
shitty. That's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about episode 1. It's called Nice Face. It's really just the introduction of the characters and who they are. So Eve Polastri is assigned to protect a witness of unknown assassin, and she's the one who recognized it being done by a woman, which is incredibly hot.
Yeah, I love that so much.
And she also connects this killer to more killing all over the world. And meanwhile, Villanelle is just being chaotic.
As always.
And that's what we love to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Just circling back to when Eve figures out that it's by a woman, I love that it also mirrors is it season 3? She figures out that there's another killer at that point. And she
Yes.
figures out that they're probably an immigrant because they have like a low paid job as like a very like subtle, discreet type of job as like a cleaner. And I think that's so powerful, showing how women in systems that are usually male dominated can actually provide something, a different perspective that would probably be ignored or not considered if that wasn't the case.
Yeah. Even that's how actually Eve started, or because Caroline was in the first meeting about this assassination, and Eve was the one pointing it out, that because that person was a known misogynist and sex trafficker, he might not consider woman a threat. So that's a reason why it might be a woman. And that came from Eve. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I wonder, like in real life, whether you would see the same diversity at the table that was shown in that episode in like a meeting like that. I wonder if it would be the same, or
I strongly doubt it.
Yeah.
And also with
I would love to know.
Yeah. Also, Caroline, the reason she got so far is because she learned herself not to feel things. Taught herself not to feel things. And she even talked about it later on.
She kind of abandoned her femininity to be who she, well, what would stereotypically be associated with femininity, to be that, like, she also is not the best mother. We see that as well. Like, she's not the traditional caregiver. She wears suits a lot. Like, she has short hair. Like, she in a way she kind of abandoned that femininity. But then we see the opposite side, where Villanelle is very much still in touch with that side of her, and yet is just as powerful, if not more so. And I think that's one of the best things about it as well. There are so many versions of women in this show. Yes. So many different ways of, showing how women can be this and that, and what connects and what doesn't.
That's one thing I love about Villanelle, is the contrast between the way she looks and the way she acts, like her personality. Because she looks like Jodie, when she smiles, her cheeks like go up and very soft, and she's almost adorable when she smiles. But Villanelle is a psychopath, so the contrast between it is so huge, and it just takes you by a surprise. Which also, like, the introduction of Villanelle is in the Vienna and the ice cream shop, and I love how you are shocked a little bit by her actions already, because first things she does is she looks at the ice cream seller to see how he smiles, and then she smiles at the child, and then when she gets up, she pushes the ice cream at the child. And it's just like you see this beautiful young woman, very like well dressed, every hair on her head is perfect, and then she's like that towards a child, and it shocks you. And that's it's a perfect introduction of her character, I have to say.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why it works with Eve as well, because she starts off as this like traditional, she's a wife, she's very career focused, she doesn't dress particularly well, like she's just a very normal like near and middle-aged woman. And then Villanelle kind of unlocks this side of her where she can be multifaceted, like she can go and dig an axe into someone's shoulder and like shoot, like use a gun, and I love that.
Yeah, it's also exactly what you said. You see Eve for the first time as exactly like the wife in a like bed with her husband and having this sort of almost boring, not that exciting life. And then when she gets assigned this case, or well, she's supposed to be protecting the witness, but she's doing more than that, and she sort of was sitting in her home office with the knife, and she cut herself into her leg, and she's just fascinated. She didn't flinch. She was fascinated by the blood. And then she talks to Nico, and she asks him, how would he kill her? And he's like, I don't know, like smother you with love or something. And then he asks her how would she kill him, and she goes to this like very detailed description of how she would kill him and get rid of his body without any feeling. And it's sort of, again, it shows you that there is more to her, that she might be more similar to Villanelle than it might seem at the first glance.
And also how that correlates with the destruction of a marriage, the deterioration of it, because she doesn't, it's not like she just turns and then starts murdering people the way that Villanelle does. She just gets involved in this case, and already we see that there are problems that arise from that, the way that when she abandons what the expectations of how a woman should be, like the doting wife who's always there, then her marriage starts to deteriorate, and that's interesting as well. That's an interesting dynamic, and as it should, because Nico is annoying. I'm not a Nico fan.
No, that's fine. No one is. I highly doubt it. Yeah, it sort of tells you like that if she's trying to keep that part locked, and exactly with when Villanelle comes, you said it, she unlocks that part. And I love how slow the process is. That it's not immediate.
And isn't that representative of femininity in general, the way that we're taught to repress certain things so that we can be this ideal woman, and how when those things that we've repressed come to the surface, something is lost, something, there's a discord between like who you're with, whether it's a partner or friendships or family. And that's just interesting. I mean, obviously it's not as extreme as killing people, but just in general, it's a good representation of that, I think.
Yeah. Eve said she was studying like the criminal psychology or something like that. And it always interested her. And in episode 2, she when she's talking to Carolyn and describing why she's researching female assassins, she says, I'm a fan. So she's been going through to this direction for years before we even meet her.
And don't we all want to know why women in particular kill? Because it's not that shocking when you find that a male serial killer, but it's, you know, women are automatically assumed to not be that kind of person, to not, it seems more evil and cruel when a woman does it, because women are expected to be quiet or passive or kind. And I think that's why which is what Eve is at the beginning of the show. And I think that's what it is. It's just a representation of how we suppress these things. I'm not a killer, but just how women, how, you know, we are fascinated by that by the way women transgress certain roles that they're expected to follow.
Yes. Oh, this is also in the first episode. It's the first time she's scared Constantine, and I feel like we have to mention that because her relationship with Constantine is, I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Complicated, and it's so easy at the same time. And she was pretending to be dead, and then even though Constantine was like, I see you breathing, she still scared him. And it was like his iconic scream.
Yeah,
I love it.
Constantine is wonderful.
Yes.
And I love like the way he kind of brings out her inner child. It's clear that she's seeking something in him that she didn't get as a child.
Yep.
And I love that.
In season 3, we find out that her dad left them, and her mom locked her in the orphanage. And when they talk, like her mom said, like they had the special bond. She had a special bond with her dad, and then she was forced to like leave. So I guess she's trying to even unconsciously recreate that with Constantine, who is this. He looks like a warm, big person. And instead is more similar to her than her actual father.
Yeah. And I love that the men in the show are very much quite passive. You don't often see Constantine like killing somebody himself. He's just the
Mhm.
handler. Like Nico is just a dull husband. Like who else is there? There are not many men in the show, and the ones that are pretty passive. Kenny is like the brains behind it all, but he you know, you never see him in action.
Even with
It's the
Bill.
women. Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill.
Even with Bill, he starts off as her boss, and then when Carolyn tells Eve to start to get her two people, she gets him into this sort of like operation, and they're role flips. So she's now the boss, and he's her.
Yeah.
He's working for her,
And he comes in with his baby.
Yeah,
he comes into work with his baby like
yes,
like as you would expect mothers to do.
Yeah.
And he's very much like a modern man. He's well, I headcanon him as pansexual. He's definitely queer in that way, and that's stated explicitly. He says he loves who he loves, and that's all there is to it, and that's beautiful. I'm sad that he got killed. I'm sad about that.
Yeah. Me too, but I also kind of love it. Like I just love the scene when she turns around and she smiles at him across the dance floor. It's just
I love that he was what unlocked this deeper like conflict and Eve's anger towards Villanelle. If anyone had to be the catalyst for that, then I'm glad it was Bill, but I wish he wasn't dead.
It also tells you in the show that the stakes are incredibly high now because they're not afraid to kill the main characters.
Yeah, and then from there, who else could they kill?
Precisely.
It's a show called Killing Eve. Like one of the most lovable characters has just been killed, and it happened the same again. Spoiler alert: when Kenny dies, and
I don't know what you're talking about. He lived happily ever after. That was it.
I love you, Kenny. I'm so sad.
Actually, fun fact: in season 1, a total of 27 people died, and the death consisted of 18 Villanelle murders, 6 people murdered by other characters, 1 person killed by Villanelle in self-defense, 1 accidental death, and 1 suicide.
Oh wow! Who committed suicide?
The first season. I don't know. I'm trying.
Frank. Was it Frank?
Yeah. No, he got killed by Villanelle.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, it's not really a suicide, but when she was in the prison with what was her name? When she went to prison.
Nadia.
Yes, yeah. She got
was that
hanged.
season 1?
Yes, it was.
I thought that was season 2.
Yeah, it's season 1.
But that's another thing. Every woman that you see is queer in some way, or the majority of the women that you see are queer in some way, and I love that.
Yep. Also, I love at the end where Constantine is like, he sends her to kill the witness to London, and he tells her, make it look like a suicide. And she kills her off in the most brutal way. She slits her throat. She kills 2 guards and 1 nurse. The blood is everywhere. And then in episode 2, when Constantine asks her about it, he said, "Oh, she slit her own throat," and she's like, "Oh yeah, she must be very clumsy." And then accidentally killed 2-3 other people while doing that.
Yeah, I love that she doesn't follow rules. And most of her journey in that is just like trying not to piss off the 12 to the extent where they come for her. And usually she finds a way, and she's not scared of that either. She
does try the boundaries and tries to push them, and that's what makes Eve find her in the first place, because she does a lot when she kills. She wants to make sure Eve knows, or someone knows, it's Villanelle who killed these people.
Yeah, and that ties in with what the speech she makes. Is it in season 3 when she says like she's bored?
Yes,
like when she gets something, she doesn't want it anymore. It's to get Eve's attention, but it's also just to feel alive. I'm obsessed with the way that she watches the life leave her victim's eyes.
Yes.
There's just something about that.
Mhm.
Like, and I think we're all to an extent fascinated by the way that death works.
Mhm.
And she's just an embodiment of the most dramatic version of that.
That's another thing I love when she watches their eyes. She always smiles. And exactly as I said, like her cheeks just push up and she's so adorable. She's so cute. And she's watching someone die and it brings her such a pleasure. And I love that.
Yeah. There's definitely like an inner child in her still. And that's part of why she acts the way she does, like why she pushes the boundaries, why she tests people.
Mhm.
Like she's just fascinated with the grotesque, I suppose,
Mhm.
in a way that kids will be when they first learn about stuff like that. But obviously she acts on it because she doesn't have that filter that most of us do. I wonder what star sign she is. I wonder if it says anything online.
We can try to find it out.
I found out that a lot of serial killers are Virgos. And I was like, oh no. I'm a Virgo. I guess that sometimes our anxieties may translate into killing people. I don't know. But I'm not happy to share star signs with serial killers.
She's Capricorn.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I like to know things like that.
Yeah. And then we have to mention in episode 1, them meeting for the first time.
Of course.
In the bathroom, where Villanelle tells Eve to wear it down, meaning her hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's beautiful in a lot of ways because obviously Sandra is a woman of color and she has very wild curly hair, and it's just beautiful, but she always has it up. And I guess that correlates with, how women are expected to like look very put together and sleek, and then Villanelle, it's the first instance where Villanelle is like, be a little wild.
Yeah.
don't do what they expect you to do just by telling her to keep her hair down. Like,
and she also,
I love that.
Yeah, Villanelle is also obsessed with the hair, because when you meet Anna, she has the same wild curly hair, and then when she's walking on the street and she's watching women, she usually finds one that has like wild lot of hair.
I was kind of wondering why that was. I half expected her mother to have that, because when you come across male serial killers, it seems that a lot of the victims look like the mother.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too much of a generalization, but that's what I found in stuff like that. So I was kind of waiting for like the thing that drew her back to that, but I think it was just Anna. I guess it was just that was her first love. I don't know.
Also in episode 2, during the assessment, she says, when she's being showed a picture of there, you don't see face, you see just someone with the wild hair, and at the first glance you think, oh, that's Eve, but then she says, she looks my mother. I'm joking, my mother has a thin shitty hair.
Interesting.
Konstantin is the one that says something about Anna. He's the one person. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Okay, so the episode 2 is named I'll Deal with Him Later, and the description of the episode is that in the aftermath of her recent assignment, Villanelle is ordered to take a break, but she's not the one to do what she's told, so she goes ahead with her next mission regardless, and is becoming increasingly reckless and more chaotic, as we mentioned. Meanwhile, Eve is given her opportunity by Caroline to start her secret MI6 unit to track Villanelle and her bosses. In this episode, also, when Villanelle is running on her treadmill, she's listening to the radio, and she listens to the laugh, and then she copies it. And then when she's out with the Sebastian dude, she laughs just like that. she's using that love with him.
Yeah, and that's interesting that she copies people to try to blend in and fit a certain character. And I guess she uses that as well for when she's like on her way to kill people.
Yeah.
Like to blend in until it's time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting as well. That she has to learn certain social cues and certain ways of doing things. I would love a prequel show. I know it's not necessary, but I would love to know who she was as like a teenager or even as a kid. I would love more of that. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, I would love to see like the entire way her character developed and how she ended up like this. Yeah.
Yeah. How did she end up being an assassin?
Yeah.
Just things like that. Who was her first kill? I would love
Oh,
that.
it was they said it was the Anne's husband, Anna's husband.
Yeah.
She was like 16 or so, and she castrated him. Yeah. I love how excited we are about that fact. Also, I really love that Eve understands who Villanelle is even before she meets her or learns her name. And also the fact that Eve is the one to connect all the kills Villanelle has done, even though like Bill was when they started their the unit to catch her, Bill was the one. You cannot lead the team based on assumptions, and she was so certain she's right without having firm evidence on why that is. And that shows you the chemistry between them even before they meet. And that's so fascinating.
And also the fact that Bill is so quick to question her. It's the way that it's clear that from our perspective that Eve is onto something. And also when a thing's not theories until you have more evidence, but men can make them and not be questioned. And when a woman does it, she's probably not right. She's probably wrong. The first instinct is to say, no, that's not right. And you see that as she develops in the story, she becomes more certain of herself. And then she's taken in by Carolyn and she's not questioned as much, but I mean, obviously she still is, but she's more confident in herself even when she is questioned. And that's beautiful as well.
And she also loses that sort of need for other people to agree with her and like her on that.
Yeah. She's not afraid to go out on her own because she knows Villanelle somehow. And that's what really makes the story, that there is this unspoken connection from the very get-go, even before they know each other. And that's why there's so much tension when they do come together.
Yeah, it must have been important. Like I remember watching the interviews and they talking about how important that is to build that tension before they actually meet. And it is very unique that you feel that without them interacting or being in the same scene, because they meet like twice during the first 2 seasons, and then in season 3 you just feel it so strongly more than ever before.
And the fact that in season 1 they had only met like once or twice, and yet everyone was shipping them and like everyone was in love with them. They didn't need a huge amount of airtime to be this like to just be full, to have these moments full of tension and like for people to root for them and see like beyond the morals of killing and stuff to the way that these people kind of connect in a different way. And I love that.
I also love the fact that Villanelle has her tampons next to her bullets, which makes me happy every single time I see it.
I hope she never confuses them.
And then in episode 2, when she's going to go kill the woman, she goes to the bathroom and that manager of the staff, he's like, you know you cannot go there, it's not for the staff. And she pulls out a tampon from her pocket. She's like, madam, ask for a tampon, I never leave her house without one. And that these kind of things, you know, it was done by a woman. You just know, because men would never do that. They would never think of that. And I love it. I adore it. Absolutely.
That circles back to like why women do make interesting killers, because they can use the femininity to like deceive and to their advantage. And that's what makes it interesting. Like we've seen a million men kill people? And is it losing its novelty a bit now? Because there's only so much they can do that we've not seen before. But, you know, it's rarely explored in women. And I think that's why, as another reason why it was such a good show and why so many people loved it, because it's not been done before in that capacity.
Yeah. And also she uses it a lot because when men, they underestimate her, and you see it throughout the entire show, and she's using it to her advantage, as you said. And you know, I love something about it. Like, for example, it was season 2, I think, season 2, when she's being taken by the Julian person, and he's actually a big creep with the dolls in his house.
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
And I was excited. I was so waiting for her to snap, because I love when men think, oh, she's so innocent, she's a little lamb, and then she's like, oh, F you, and kills him. And I just love their surprise and their shock on their part. I wanted to see that more because it's just exciting to me.
But with that moment as well with Julian, there was, I think that was the first moment where you could see she wasn't sure if she could get out of that, because she was injured and she was a bit more helpless than we used to see in her. And that was a big part of her character. And she called Eve.
Oh,
because she knew Eve would help her.
My God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. If you could play anybody, if you could be anyone in Killing Eve, who would you be, or who would you play as an actor?
As an actor, I think I would have to choose Villanelle, because
Of
it must be so much fun to do that. Like, because she's not playing just one character. In each episode, she has like 3 other characters.
Yeah.
But I also think it's incredibly difficult, and there's very little people who can pull that off. And it shows that Jodie is one of the greatest actresses currently acting, because what she's done there, it's remarkable.
And her appearance is part of that, because to look at from the get-go, there's nothing that distinct about her that would set her apart from other people. Like, if you were given her a headshot of her, she's pretty like average looking. I mean, she's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but like, there is nothing there that you would like. You could see her walking down the street and you wouldn't be particularly like, whoa, she must be an actress. But like, that's why. But then she's so good at acting, and that's part of Villanelle's character, the idea that like serial killers are often just like us and they blend in, and that's how she manages to kill the way she does, because she can blend into any situation.
What about you? Who would you choose?
Oh, you know what? I think Carolyn. She's so witty and dry, and I just love that. I love that so much. But then I feel sorry for Kenny, the way she treats him. But on the other hand, like, imagine being that free to not like feel, to be like quite detached from your emotions and have that control.
Yeah.
But I would also love to be Constantine. Like, he's so funny and beautiful. I would love to be any of them.
Yeah.
If you're Villanelle, I'm your Eve. I'm just saying.
Oh, please. Yeah. You know, we can recreate the last episode of season 1 and 2. You know, I'm always up for that.
Matching scars.
People get matching tattoos. We're gonna get matching scars.
Exactly. And it's free.
Yes. And it's done by the other one. There's more to it than just yeah.
Who is your favorite character? Let's put Villanelle aside, because I know it's going to be Villanelle. But who's your favorite secondary character?
It must be tied between Eve, Constantine, and Carolyn.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
With every single character in the show, I love how layered they are. They're very complex and complicated people. When it's a sort of show that meant to entertain, they don't put so much work into the characters, and that enriches the story so much. And you sort of never know what to expect from them, is what I love. And they always come to shock you with something.
Yeah. I love the duality of Constantine being like a father and trying to navigate that with what he does, and how that like ruins the way he
Mhm.
cares for his child. We'll talk about that later as well with Arena, but
Yeah.
I just love it. There's just so much to love.
And that's also a great thing to see Constantine as the warm father and Carolyn as the ditch parent. Like you see them
Yeah,
switch the normal gender role that
yeah,
society set to parents. And even in season 3 or 2, Constantine is like, you taught yourself not to love your child. And he's so shocked by it and almost
mm,
insulted by it. And
yeah.
it's amazing, yeah.
And then you see how that like affects Kenny and and Carolyn's daughter as well, but also the way that Kenny is very much wears his heart on his sleeve. He's the complete opposite of Carolyn, and how that is in contrast to how you would expect one of the leading men in the show to act.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like a little soft cinnamon roll in a lot of ways, and I
Yeah.
love him.
It's interesting because you're so right, they're different, but also Carolyn says to her daughter, Kenny was my Carrie was mine, you were your father's. So they understood, even though they were different, they understood each other on a different level
Yeah,
than her daughter with Carolyn.
yeah. And I think that's natural because Carolyn's daughter is pretty feminine and like more of a normal traditional woman. And so how could you connect with someone who completely rejects that side?
Yes.
Who completely rejects motherhood in general?
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why there is that discord there. There is so much to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite scene
Oh,
ever in
oh,
Killing Eve?
oh. Well, I mean, the obvious one I have to choose, even though it's season 4, it's from the last episode when they're like together,
Mhm.
when they kiss for the first time. And I love when Eve is doing the ceremony and Villanelle is just looking at her with this a little smile and that serene look in her eyes.
Yeah.
And then of course their last gift. But other than that, I'm trying to think of, I just love the entire episode of Villanelle with her family.
Yeah.
I love it so
Yeah.
much. It's one of my favorite episodes because it tells you more of who Villanelle is. And she also starts to break slowly. And I loved that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
I think
yours?
before that we were like quite detached from Villanelle in the sense that we never really knew what was behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see a hint of it like when she's in that, is it a therapy meeting is it an AA meeting?
Oh yeah.
When she kind of has to act as an addict, but she kind of uses her own experiences. Or does she? Because there's always that question as well, like, was that an act?
Well,
Or was it not? But you
yeah.
see that it surely must not be.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, they say you cannot lie here. They know when you're lying because also these people went through certain type of shit. And exactly like when they said, we know when you're lying. So she could not
Yeah.
fully pretend to be someone else.
Yeah. But my favorite scene is it's when Frank is running from Villanelle and Nadia, and Eve asked him if he's running or crying, and he's going running and crying. I just relate to that. It was just the funniest thing, but like deeper, probably the first time that Villanelle is in Eve's house. She runs the water over her mouth and she's like, I just want to have dinner with you.
Yes. Oh my god,
And
I
then
love
later
that.
she asks, she gives a warmed up shepherd's pie, and it's just really British as well. Shepherd's pie is a really like British meal to have. And it's just, yeah, I love that. It was just wonderful.
I love when she's like, you should never tell a psychopath they're a psychopath.
Yeah.
It could upset them. And he was like, are you upset? And she does this like emoji upside down smile, almost like Florence Pugh one, when she's like,
yeah.
And I love that so much. And that also reminded me the scene in when she's in season 2 when she goes to Nika already moved out to live with Gemma. and
Mm.
Villanelle finds them in the storage, and she's like, I need the recipe for shepherd's pie. And then
Yeah.
and then she kills Gemma, and I love it so much for some reason. I just adore, and she's like, I could never hurt you. You would never forgive me.
Yeah.
And so instead she kills the person that brought Eve like a pain and stuff. And I just love
Yeah.
it so much. She's such a caring
No.
girlfriend.
And you can see that really Nico's her only tether to that life. When things start to deteriorate between them, she still tries, but you can tell that her heart's not in it. She's doing it because she feels like she has to. And because if she doesn't, then she's abandoning everything she believed in before. And that's the only purpose Nico serves.
Yeah.
And thank God when he finally disappears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, Eve was trying even after he got like left to Poland and got attacked, and she kept trying until he told her to fuck off. Yeah.
But it wasn't out of love, it was out of guilt, because you see in the marriage he asks things of her and he expects things of her, and she's never happy with that.
Yeah. And he's also never tries to accept the changes that she's going through.
Yeah.
Like when Villanelle came to him and told him to be a little more experimental in the bedroom. And Eve is so excited and she loved it. And he's like, I felt shitty, and made her feel bad about it instead of like talking through it like an adult person. He never tried really much other than that. And the thing is, like, people grow all the time, and
he wasn't prepared for change.
Yeah.
If it wasn't at the extreme that it was, and it was just a normal type of change, I still think it would have had the same outcome, where he wasn't happy with Eve because she didn't fit in his box anymore.
It started even when she was interested more in her job and tried to do her job more. She was trying to stop a murderer, and he was pissed off that she didn't come to like teachers' parents meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, another fact. It's not more fun fact, but it's a fact nonetheless. Found it on IMDb. The poison perfume bottle, as Villanelle's modus operandi, turned out to be very prophetic of real life events. Russian former spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were poisoned with some nerve agent in early March, just a few weeks before the air date, and the delivery device was later determined to be a fake perfume bottle.
Oh wow, interesting. And I think that's another reason why we're hooked, because we don't know how she'll kill next. It's never just an easy, quick kill, a convenient kill. It's something that nobody would expect.
And she also puts so much work into the character that she makes. She even names them. Like when she got back from Vienna, she was like, "Thank you, Lulu." And then when she pulled out the outfit and the hair to go kill with the perfumist, she was like, "Bonjour, Claudie," or something like that. And she even told Constantine like she got this new outfit for it, and worked very hard for the character and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you have a favorite kill?
The one in Amsterdam I love a lot. When she hangs him upside down. Yeah. And then again, her family. I just love when I think I have to kill you, Mama. I love that.
What was the one that disturbed you the most? That one? Mine was he called Gabrielle in the first episode of season 2? She's in the hospital after being stabbed with Eve, and there's this young boy. He's lost his family. He's in a bad shape because was he in a car accident?
They were in a car accident. Yeah.
That was the one that shocked me the most, because you still expect a little bit of humanity from her, even after everything, especially when it comes to like a child. But you could see that she thought she was doing the best thing by him, because he was in a state where he'd lost everything, and he probably would always live with some form of impact physically as well as mentally from what he went through. And you could tell she did that because she thought she was sparing him from that.
Yeah. He even said something like, I don't want to live like that, or something like that. And she hugged him, and you were like, oh, and then she just snapped his neck. It was so shocking.
Yeah.
And again, it sort of ups the stakes where you like, oh, she's not afraid to kill a child.
Yeah.
And now you're terrified of every human, of every living creature in her vicinity. Like, oh, they might die. She's not afraid of anything.
And if she is capable of killing a child, will she kill Eve? Even though she clearly cares about her. Like, who wouldn't she kill?
Yeah.
And then she kills her mother as well.
Yeah. You're right. I forgot about that. I probably pushed it from my mind as a thing. Yeah.
I think that was the first time that I was like, whoa. Yeah. Like, that's like way out of what you would expect, and the way out of the realm of comfort. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one incredibly surprising and that disturbed me a lot was when Kenny died.
Oh.
Because you just see his flying down. And it terrifies you. It terrifies, like, oh, did I see it correctly or not?
And Kenny is probably the most lovable character on the show, just like Bill was.
Yeah.
And it's just pain.
Yeah.
And there's also the question of like whether Constantine is his father at that point. And you're like, but could Constantine have done it? And that's the thing, you never know what the characters are doing, what they're thinking, who's behind what. And even like with Carolyn, you sometimes wonder, did she kill Kenny?
Yeah.
Like, realistically, probably not, but she has it in her. They all have it in them.
Yeah. And also, like, Kenny already left MI6, and he was trying, like, he was searching into some things, but you didn't know that yet. So you knew he was away from it, he was living another life, and then suddenly he dies, and it's like, what? The actual life.
Yeah. And there was that episode before the death when he was comforting Eve. Like, they were just sitting together, just they'd built a real friendship.
Yes.
It really hurt.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Swords and Sapphics this week. If you have any idea of what we should talk about next, please let us know.
Also, after every episode, we're adding an article to our website where we mention everything we've mentioned during the episode, so you can have it easily at your hand whenever needed.
Yep, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram.
Also, if you want to listen to us on other podcast provider, please let us know. We're happy to try to do that. And don't forget, we must remember one life rule.
Support women's rights.
But most importantly, support women's wrongs. We'll see you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile.